Gishimira birumvikana iyo byarenze ahangaha bikajya hanze yarwo ni ukuvuga ngo ni ibintu biba biryoshye ariko nabivuga ni ibintu byo kwishimira cyane ni n'amahirwe kandi aza yiyongera ku bindi ni n'amahirwe aza yiyongera ku bindi cyane ko usibye kuba twebwe twabigezeho nk'uko babivugaga aba ari n'amahirwe ku bandi ngarutse wenda ku rubyiruko cyane ko aribo turi kureba ni nabo igihugu gihanze amaso ubona iri terambere twabashije kugeraho mu buryo butandukanye haba mu bukungu haba mu bindi byiciro bitandukanye mbere twabashije kugeraho mu buryo butandukanye haba mu bukungu haba mu bindi byiciro terambere twabashije kugeraho mu buryo butandukanye haba mu bukungu haba mu bindi byiciro bitandukanye ubona aya mahirwe dufite cyangwa se ibi kubisigasira twabiha nk'ijana yuko ababikoze barya bagasinzira
waka ni umurimo utoroshye ugoye cyane cyane no tubizane ku Rwanda imyaka 30 ishize navuga ngo imvune abakuru babigizemo kinafite n'ubungubu iryo shyaka ko kwitanga bagifite n'ubungubu ni ibintu twe nk'urubyiruko tureba ubungubu tukabihari n'abantu natanga nk'urugero nka His Excellency n'ubigarukaho cyane atubwira ngo abakuru hari uruhare rwabo bagize urubyiruko ubu ni mwebwe iyo bitubwira kuriya rero abazi neza ko hariho platform ihuza urubyiruko nabo bakuru n'ubundi bagenda babikora kugira ngo urubyiruko nabo rube integrated nimba tuvuga iterambere ry'ubukungu urubyiruko ruhabwa umwanya kugira ngo rutangire ruganire ku by'ubukungu bitandukanye batangire batumirwe nabo bumve ubukungu bw'u Rwanda ruragera ahangaha iki nicyo twabashije gukora dore namwe ndetse hakanabaho n'ikintu navuga ngo cya capacity building aho igihugu cyicara kikavuga ngo urubyiruko kugira ngo ruzabashe wenda ngarutse ku byo yambaje ruzabashe nabwo ngo gusimbuka urukiramende ngizi skills bakeneye hakabaho amabursa atandukanye mu ma university hakaba ibintu byinshi bitandukanye navuga ngo urubyiruko turi ready ndetse twanatangiye no kubyerekana natanze ingero zitandukanye z'abajene batangiye imishinga itandukanye hari n'abandi bajene benshi bari mu buyobozi kandi ubona babikora neza rero navuga ngo abakuru ntabwo ari ukuryama ngo basinzire ahubwo bakomeze badufashe nicyo njyewe navuga kuko bavuze ngo bararyanye barasinzira tukiri kubigiraho kuko ntabajya bavuga mu kinyarwanda ngo nta mwana ukura ngo ahite yuzura ingobyi uko turi gukura izo mbaraga dufite bakomeze badushyigikire uko bakomeza badushyigikira ko turi kwigira ku birenge byiza uko badushyigikira nta kabuza hari igihe kizagera natwe tukababwira ngo navuga ngiye result y'ibyo mwatwubatsemo ariko turahari n'ubu twatangiye no gukora
wenda dufashe urugero nko kuri abajene twigeze kubivuga hari abajene bafite ibikorwa bitandukanye abafite imyenda bakorera hano mu Rwanda hari abafite ubukorikori butandukanye bakora hano mu Rwanda bajyanye muri Rwanda Day bajyanye kumurika hanze ubona amahirwe ahari urugero iyi ni Rwanda Day iba ari amahirwe ku bashaka kujyayo uhereye hano mu Rwanda bashobora kujyana ibicuruzwa byabo kure ubona amahirwe yahawe by'umwihariko ahari ku banyarwanda by'umwihariko urubyiruko bifiteho amakuru ahagije ku buryo bashobora kuvuga bati iriya ni opportunity nayibonye hari Rwanda Day igiye kubera Washington kandi ndi umucuruzi mpora ibi ngibi reka ngire iyi initiative yo kuvuga ngo reka uyu niwo mwanya wanjye mbonye wo kumurika wo kwagura ibikorwa byawe by'umuntu ku giti cye afite ubona navuga ngo uko gukanguka uko gukoresha amahirwe igihugu cyatanze urubyiruko rubyifitemo koko
murakoze nongera kugaruka nanone kuri ya mentorship ntanga urubyiruko navuga ngo turicaye baradutereranye nitwe twishakira buri kintu cyose navuga hari ama programme menshi atandukanye harategurwa n'imbuto harategurwa na Minisiteri y'Urubyiruko n'Iterambere ry'Ubuhanzi nategurwa n'abandi bafatanyabikorwa batandukanye aho usanga urubyiruko ba building capacity yabo kugira ngo umenye ngo niba ndi gukora iby'imideli ni iki gikenewe ku isoko rya hariya Washington, kuko ibyo uzajyana muri Ghana, ibyo uzajyana muri Washington, ibyo uzajyana mu Bufaransa biratandukanye. Ibyo bintu bitandukanye rero bikorerwa urubyiruko, na mbere yuko bavuga ngo barava mu Rwanda cyangwa n'abari no mu Rwanda, si ukuvuga ngo wenda ngo ntabagiye ngo muri Rwanda Day gusa, usanga barakangutse. Hajya habaho amanama menshi atandukanye no mu Rwanda, aho usanga urubyiruko rushishikarizwa kuvuga, bakajya nko muri car free zone, bagatangira gushyiraho ibyo bakora bitandukanye, bafite mu mutwe ngo abandi bo bashyitsi dufite mu Rwanda. Nimba urubyiruko rubasha gutekereza ngo abandi bo bashyitsi dufite ngibi byo bakunda, n'abajya muri Rwanda Day, ntekereza ntashidikanya ko n'ubundi iyo capacity urubyiruko rurayifite. Ntango kameme wajya n'ikintu uzi neza ko kiri more preferred n'abanyafurika, kandi ugiye no ku isoko mpuzamahanga Washington, ngo habure iyo capacity yo kwadjustinga kuri market. Navuga rero ko ibyinshi tubikesha program nziza z'ubuyobozi buba bwatekereje mbere, bukavuga ngo uru rubyiruko ko rugiye hariya bari kumva koko kiri soko ritandukanye n'iryo basize mu Rwanda. Navuga urubyiruko rufite iyo capacity kandi baracyanadufasha mu kwitwubakamo. Murakoze.
Yego, reka mutwemerere tujye mu karuhuko gatoya, ariko kandi dukomeza no kubararikira kuza gukurikira umuhango nyirizina wa Rwanda Day, tureba ibirimo biraberayo byose.
In the last 5 years, more than 27,000 students have graduated with the invaluable support of the government. Yet, shockingly, this accounts for only 30% of students who truly need it. What a huge gap. Is there anything we can do about it? Yego. Join the Minuza Challenge and become a catalyst for change in Rwandan education. Biroroshye. Your contribution matters. Just $30 from one person can provide living allowance for a deserving student. Envision this impact. If 100 people each contribute $30, we can cover a year's tuition for 4 students. And with 1,000 contributors, we can fund a full degree for 15 students. You can make a lasting impact. For those who have graduated with government support, it's time to give back. If you didn't, you can still make a significant difference by contributing towards the Minuza Challenge and helping secure a brighter future for another Rwandan. Your contributions can be made via brd.rw. Together, we can bridge the education gap and shape a brighter future for Rwanda.
1, 2, 3.
My name is Karine Mutoni. I'm the CEO of EcoBank Rwanda. I'm very excited to be here at Rwanda Day today. At EcoBank, we're very thrilled to be part of this event. We are positioning ourselves as an employer. We are here to meet the Rwandan community, the diaspora, to showcase some of the career opportunities that we have as an employer. We also want to discuss new trends in the financial sector and give advice to the youth on what skills to develop that are needed in the financial sector in Rwanda. As you know, Rwanda has positioned itself as a financial center for Africa, so we're very excited that we can have the youth and the Rwandan diaspora be part of this growth and contribute to the economic development of our country. We're also offering very good products for the diaspora, where they can invest in Rwanda through us as a bank, where they can also remit funds to their families from wherever they are, in the US, Canada, in Europe. We offer very different platforms, digital platforms, that ensures that they don't have to be physical in Rwanda for them to open accounts, for them to make payments. We offer very good mortgage facilities for the diaspora that enables them to invest and buy houses and purchase properties, and also by contributing to the economic development of the country.
Turimo kuganira ku gikorwa cya Rwanda Day kirimo kubera Washington DC mu gihugu cya Leta Zunze Ubumwe za Amerika, aho abanyarwanda n'inshuti z'u Rwanda bahuriye kugira ngo baganire n'umukuru w'igihugu, baganire ku gihugu, baganire aho kiva naho kirimo kwerekeza. Twagiye tubona impumeko y'abari Washington uko bishimiye, uko basobanura Rwanda Day cyari cyo. turimo rero kubiganiraho ariko twitsa cyane ku rubyiruko, uko urubyiruko rwiteguye gufata kubakira kuri uyu musingi abakuru bashyizeho. Mutesi, nagira ngo ngaruke kuri gahunda ya tunyweresi. Akenshi iyo bavuze tunyweresi mu bantu bayumva cyangwa se bayumva bigoranye n'urubyiruko rurimo, izi mbaraga z'igihugu kandi zubaka zirimo zirumva iyi gahunda ya tunyweresi gute?
Murakoze. Wenda nagaruka no kuri imwe muri speech ya Minisitiri w'Ubuzima, kugira ngo hari abari bamubajije bati se Minisitiri tubigenze dute urubyiruko. Ntabwo nsubira cyane mu byo yavuze, ariko numva nk'urubyiruko nk'uko nyakubahwa His Excellency akomeza atubwira, ntabwo wagira focus wanyweye wasinze, reka mvuge gutyo. Kandi Minisitiri nanone w'Ubuzima yaravuze ngo kugira ngo byibuze icupa rimwe unyweye rizajye gushyira mu mubiri ubwo burozi bigufata byibuze amasaha nkangahe, hafi umunsi ngira ngo urenga 78, iminsi 2 irenga. Urumva rero nimba uri urubyiruko ufata iryo cupa rya buri munsi, cyangwa se utarimo urumva neza icyo uri kubwirwa ko mu mubiri wawe harimo uburozi, that's first. Icya kabiri, nta focus ufite. Numva nk'urubyiruko yari gahunda twagombye kumva, kandi tukumva ko ntango inyungu ari iz'abandi, ahubwo inyungu ni kuri twebwe. Nimba dushaka kuba abayobozi bari responsible uyu munsi n'ejo, atari n'ubwo ngo ni abayobozi mu nzego za leta, n'umuyobozi ku giti cy'umuntu ntango wakiyobora nawe ubwawe utari focused. Navuga rero nk'urubyiruko ni gahunda urubyiruko rwatangiye kumva. Ntabwo navuga ko ari 100%, ariko kubona ko uko biri kose hari ikiri kugabanyuka kandi kigaragara kinini, aho ubona urubyiruko rwinshi ruri kuvuga ruti ibiyobyabwenge cyangwa se inzoga n'ibindi igihe nabinywere nta kintu bimariye. Hari urubyiruko rutandukanye rugenda rutanga ayo ma testimonies, kavuga igihe nabirekeye nabashije kwicara na bagenzi banjye tubasha gukora ikintu runaka. Rero numva ni gahunda urubyiruko ruri kumva, haracyarimo n'izindi mbaraga, ariko ni gahunda urubyiruko twumva ko idufitiye n'umumaro. Murakoze.
Yego, reka twongere nanone tubibutse yuko usibye kuba Rwanda Day ari umwanya wo kuganira, ni n'umwanya nanone wo guhana ubuhamya, kumva navuga ngo ibyo mugenzi wawe yagezeho, uburyo yakoze, aho ageze, kugira ngo byigishe n'abandi, kugira ngo nawe ubwawe ugire icyo bigusigira, cyangwa se nawe ugire uruhare rwawe wumva ko watanga. Reka twumve ubuhamya bwa Maurice bagaragaza, nawe ufite byinshi, afite urugendo agiye kudusangiza.
Nitwa Maurice bagaragaza, mba hano i Kigali, ndi rwiyemezamirimo, nkora imirimo y'ubucuruzi butandukanye. Hari imirimo y'ihoteli hano mubona Inside Africa, ndi mu bucuruzi bw'ibinyobwa by'inzoga n'amadivayi n'amarikeri. Hanyuma nkaba ndi mu byerekeye amazu akodeshwa real estate, ariko ubu ndi cyane mu bintu by'ikoranabuhanga, aho dufite application ya IBM ikora inyemezabuguzi za Rwanda Revenue. Icyo Rwanda Day yamariye, navuga ko hari byinshi. Maze kujya muri Rwanda Day zigeze kuri 5 niba ntibeshye, cyangwa zirarenga. Nk'umunyarwanda wo muri diaspora wabaye imyaka myinshi hanze mu Burayi, mu Bubiligi, kuva nataha kuva muri 2010, navuga ko hari ibintu byinshi nagikomeje kugenda niyongeraho uko navaga muri Rwanda Day. Muri Rwanda Day ikintu cya mbere ni ahantu duhurira twese abanyarwanda b'ingeri zose, abayobozi, abacuruzi, tukagirana ama contact. ngira ngo murabizi muri business contact nicyo kintu cya mbere. Yewe rwose buri gihe njya muri Rwanda Day nshishikajwe no kujyana kugira ama contact muri izo business mba nkora. Muri Rwanda Day ariko tuhumvira n'izindi, habaho amadisikuru havugirwa, imbwirwaruhame zihavugirwa, tukamenya byinshi ku gihugu cyacu, umukuru w'igihugu akatuganiriza n'abandi bayobozi batandukanye.
I've run into people I haven't seen since high school, and it truly is so exciting to see you all. You all have indeed come from far and wide. You've shown up and out for Rwanda Day 2024, and it is truly an honor to have you here. We have so much in store for you. Sit back and relax and enjoy. Before we start, I know you all are excited. Let's first get into some housekeeping items. Remember to keep your phone silent. Be mindful while taking pictures or videos. Keep flashes off. We do have translation channels. Channel 1 will be in English. Channel 2 in French. Channel 3 in Kinyarwanda. We also have some family rooms. So if you need to nurse or take a break with your kids, that will be in the Chesapeake room. And in case of medical emergencies, we also have medical professionals available on ground. If you need to use the bathroom, there's some right outside this way. And with that, we'll dive right into our sessions.
Mbere yuko tujya mu biganiro nagira ngo nze kubabwira ko tuza kuganira ku nsanganyamatsiko nziza cyane tuze gukurikira, ariko mbere yaho turaza kwakira umuyobozi w'intara ya gatandatu uhagarariye abandi, nyakubahwa Yehoyada Mbangukira ku ijambo ry'ikaze ku bashyitsi bose baturutse imihanda yose.
People I haven't seen since high school, and it truly is so exciting to see you all. You all have indeed come from far and wide. You've shown up and out for Rwanda Day 2024, and it is truly an honor to have you here. We have so much in store for you. Sit back and relax and enjoy. Before we start, I know you all are excited. Let's first get into some housekeeping items. Remember to keep your phone silent. Be mindful while taking pictures or videos. Keep flashes off. We do have translation channels. Channel 1 will be in English. Channel 2 in French. Channel 3 in Kinyarwanda. We also have some family rooms, so if you need to nurse or take a break.
It is a pleasure to see as many of you here today. It's a day we've been all waiting for quite a while. I am Yehoyada Mbangukira, as said, and I have the honor and the privilege of being the leader of the 29 local communities in the U.S., meaning I'm the president of the Rwandans in this mighty, in Intara ya Gatandatu, in the United States. We want to welcome each and every one of you that has chosen to be here today. I know you've traveled many miles to be here, but the good thing is you have come home to the Rwanda we've chosen here in the United States. And we have, as I said, 29 independent associations here in the United States, and we comprise over 10,000 of us. And what I want to let you know is you being here, having chosen to be here, is indeed an honor to each and every Rwandan in this place. Those who came from afar, we welcome you. Avuye mu Rwanda no mu ntara zindi z'igihugu, there's Australia, Asia, Europe, all over. We love the fact that you chose to be here today. If you stood where I'm standing here, you'd see a happy throng of Rwandans and friends of Rwanda. So the 29 leaders of this community came together and mobilized. And to that, they mobilized over 10,000 people who registered to be here today. However, some of them may not be here, but they are watching online, and we welcome you, and we thank you, the leaders of the 29 communities. Wherever you are in the audience, I want you to know that we appreciate everything you do, because, yes, they deserve a round of applause. As you know, this country has 50 states, so we do the best we can to make sure every Rwandan and a friend of Rwanda knows exactly what Rwanda is all about, and you'll learn more about that. And so this 2024 is a remarkable and significant year for our country. We celebrate 30 years of the birth of a nation, and we celebrate the gains achieved, and most importantly, the choices we collectively make and made and continue to make each day. We need you to continue to sound the clarion call, because we want to make sure that the future of Rwandans, the young Rwandans that are here today, they can carry on the legacy and the lessons of today and the most recent lessons that we have. They can continue to build the Rwanda they want, the Rwanda they choose, and the Rwanda they deserve. So the choices we have made are choices that are lasting, and homegrown solutions will continue to be grown, and one day the future generation will stand here, sit where you are, and say, this is the Rwanda we chose, this is the Rwanda we'll all gain from, and this is the Rwanda whose gains we shall preserve. And may God bless you today as you have a wonderful time, and I'll have to come back here later and get a gauge how you are doing and how you have learned. So I'll see you later. Welcome, welcome. Tubahaye ikaze mwese, kandi turabishimiye kuba mwaje mugafata uyu mwanya kubana natwe. Imana ibahe umugisha.
Thank you so much to the President of Rwanda Community Abroad. It really is amazing to see that Rwandans are not only building the country from within Rwanda, but even as we're outside the country, we're thinking about our country and we're continuing to contribute to the development of Rwanda. Thank you so much. I will now lead us into our next session, and this session is going to be on the theme, Rwanda at 30, Rwanda in the World. So I am honored to welcome on stage our distinguished panelists, Honorable Vincent Biruta, the Minister of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation, Honorable Abdallah Utumatwishima, the Minister of Youth and Arts, and finally, Ambassador Jendai Fraser from the Hoover Institution at Stanford University. Welcome, the floor is yours.
Banyakubahwa twabahaye ijambo, reka mbabwire ko baza kuvuga ikiganiro cyabo, nibamara kukitugezaho turaza kwakira ibitekerezo, ibibazo se hano muri iki cyumba no hanze y'icyumba. Nagira ngo mbahe ijambo banyakubahwa.
Fellow Rwandans, friends of Rwanda, muraho mwese. I'm happy to be with you today for this edition of Rwanda Day and to share with you a few highlights on Rwanda's foreign policy and recent developments in our region, on the continent, and beyond. It has been almost 30 years since the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, and during the last 30 years, Rwanda has strategically positioned itself in the world to foster peace, its economic development, and security. Designate to Brasilia might be somewhere in the room, so he is part of this gathering. During the During the same period, the diplomatic community in Kigali has also been growing, and Kigali is hosting more and more foreign missions. Today, we have 45 foreign diplomatic missions in Rwanda, and we have received diplomats from representing Mozambique, Pakistan, Denmark, Poland, Hungary, Guinea-Conakry, Ukraine, and Canada has also upgraded its diplomatic mission to a high commission. And new embassies Rwanda opened abroad, apart from the one in Brazil I already mentioned. We have an embassy in Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, Guinea-Conakry, Hungary. We have a diplomatic mission in Central African Republic, and we have also an embassy in the Czech Republic. Rwanda is also increasingly becoming the home of various international organizations, such as the African Medicines Agency, the Fund for Export Development in Africa, the FIFA Regional Development Office, and the Susan Thompson Buffett Foundation headquarters for the Africa region, just to name a few. To attain our objectives for transformation, Rwanda fosters strategic partnerships in various sectors. That is how, in the health sector, we have entered in an innovative partnership with the German technology firm BioNTech to start manufacturing mRNA-based products and vaccines in Rwanda. Our ambition is to address the gap in the production of life-saving vaccines in Africa by locally producing them to serve both our needs and regional markets. Another partnership which has been in the media in the last few months is the Migration and Economic Development Partnership Rwanda entered into with the UK. Rwanda has entered that broad economic development and migration partnership to address the root causes of the migration crisis by tackling the global inequalities in opportunities that drive economic migrants from their homes. So Rwanda, by entering in this partnership, is playing a role in addressing global issues such as the migration crisis. The Migration and Economic Development Partnership will invest in Rwanda's economic development, providing opportunities for migrants and Rwandans alike. And this initiative will play a crucial role in combating human trafficking networks associated with illegal migration. And beyond this partnership, Rwanda continues to work with the African Union and the UNHCR to welcome refugees, notably through the emergency transit mechanism, which provides temporary refuge for migrants coming from Libya before their relocation. And between September 2019 and December 2023, we have received over 2,000 refugees and asylum seekers who were evacuated from Libya, and over 1,200 refugees among these have subsequently been resettled to third countries. At continental level, Rwanda has worked with other nations to launch the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Agreement, which was signed in Kigali in 2018, and it is the largest continental free trade area in the world and has the potential to create wealth for all Africans. But, as you know, prosperity cannot exist without peace. And this is why Rwanda has remained engaged in multilateral peacekeeping missions throughout Africa under the United Nations banner. With almost 6,000 peacekeepers, Rwanda is the fourth largest contributor of peacekeepers in the world. And beyond peacekeeping, Rwanda provides support under bilateral arrangement to countries such as Central African Republic, and we also support government of Mozambique to fight terrorism. Since our first deployments in those countries, the situation has greatly improved, contributing to the larger stability of our continent. Rwanda is also an active member of the East African Community and of the Economic Community of Central African States, which count 11 member states, while the East African Community today is comprised of 8 countries and home to 283 million citizens. Coming to the situation in our own region, the Great Lakes region, you are aware that the security situation has remained volatile in the last couple of years, particularly since the resurgence of M23 towards the end of 2021. This resurgence was a consequence of the non-implementation of previously signed political agreements and the persistence of armed groups in eastern DRC, including the genocidal FDLR, which constitutes a security threat to Rwanda. Recently, this conflict has attracted new regional actors, small and big, complicating further this crisis. Increasing hate speech and targeted killings against Rwanda-speaking Congolese, mainly Tutsis, are of great concern. And this has led to Rwanda receiving more than 100,000 Congolese refugees. Some of them have been in Rwanda for more than 22 years now. And there are even more in neighboring countries such as Uganda and Kenya. While regional mechanisms such as the Nairobi and the Rwanda processes have been established to resolve this conflict, the lack of political will has frustrated their implementation and the achievement of peace. International partners, including the US, have also been actively involved in efforts to de-escalate tensions between Rwanda and DRC and find solutions to the conflict. While Rwanda is committed to peace and believes that a political solution is better indicated to solve the political problems in our region, appropriate defensive measures are in place to protect our territory, and no one should be worried about the security of Rwanda. Coming to this part of the world to conclude, Rwanda and the United States enjoy good relations. The US is a valued partner in our development and is active in many sectors, including health, space, trade and investment, and we hope to increase our economic ties in the future. Rwanda is a land of opportunities, open for business and ready for American investments. Let me stop here my introduction, and I look forward to exchanging with you and eventually providing more details on elements I shared in these introductory remarks. I thank you for your kind attention.
Good afternoon. My name is Jendai Fraser. I am the former U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs during the Bush administration and U.S. Ambassador to South Africa, and I'm currently a Distinguished Visiting Fellow at the Hoover Institution at Stanford University. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
My name is Abdallah Utumatkwishima. I'm the Minister of Youth and Arts. in Rwanda.
Well, I guess I'll start off. I very much appreciated the Honorable Minister's remarks about Rwanda at 30, Rwanda in the world. When I think about Rwanda at 30, what I think about, which is so remarkable, is that since the genocide against the Tutsi in 1994, Rwanda has done more than most African countries to rebuild its society for reconciliation, to create an environment of prosperity, and really to take charge of its own destiny. And when I think about this, many other countries in Africa, since 1960, it's been 60 years for them or more. When I think about what's been done in this 30 years, I ask myself, what is that unique factor that is responsible for this success? And I'm sure that there are many, many factors, but one that I think beyond sort of the leadership of the country and the hard work of the citizens is there's this, Rwandans have been self-determining in the sense that they've built their institutions around their own culture and their own traditions. And I think this is absolutely critical. When I think about it, in 2001 or so, I was in the administration, and the Gacaca courts were coming up to deal with the perpetrators of genocide. And the international community was very much set against the Gacaca courts as a traditional justice-based system in the hands of the Rwandan communities. They thought this is not going to work. You know, there was a UN International, UN ICTR, the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda, and they were saying that's the way to go. But the Rwandan people and the Rwandan leadership stuck to its gun, looked to its tradition and its history, and made a remarkable move towards actually dealing with thousands and thousands of cases of the perpetrators in hundreds of communities around the country, throughout the country. And so this was a tremendous success. And again, it was built on Rwanda's history, Rwanda's culture, Rwanda's traditions. I think about Rwanda Day itself, the fact that, you know, there's this new tradition of going outside of the borders, bringing the community together, talking about and bringing the friends of Rwanda together, as the minister was talking about the ability to showcase what's happening in Rwanda so that more visitors will come, so that more investors will come to the country as well, and also to reconnect with those Rwandans who are living abroad. And so I think that this intentionality, this vision, this leadership, and this fidelity to self and self-determination is a key to why in 30 years, in Rwanda at 30, there's been such remarkable achievement. So with that, Minister, I will turn it over to you, and I'm sure we'll have more to discuss.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be on this stage today. It's my first time at Rwanda Day, and it's not, and it's always great to be at the first time, and you are at the panel at the first time, and you are at the panel as a minister. It's not that. It's really something not to take for granted. It's big. It's historical. It's Rwanda at 30. You can get it. Another thing that is a little bit complicated with me is I've been speaking Kinyarwanda the entire life, and now I'm supposed to speak after gender in English. And so I'm going to represent all the people who speak this Kenya English, so you're going to excuse me. As we are in America, I'm going to share with you a short story when I came to America for the first time. It was in 2016. It was my first time to come to the US. I was coming for my pre-doc fellowship in the NIH, the National Institutes of Health. It's actually near here, it's in Bethesda. I was going to do diabetes epidemiology, but before I came, I went to see one of the leaders in Rwanda because I wanted some, words of wisdom before I could fly for the first time. And that leader told me, you are going to America, a strong nation, well-developed, with economic power. When you go there to study your medical things, please study other things too. He actually told me, when you get out of the airport, start learning. And I told him what to learn, because I don't know the country. He told me, as a Rwandan, when you travel in a country like America, you have to learn everything they are doing. He even told me, when you go to the campus, in my case, when you go to the NIH campus, see how the NIH is built, examine the labs, the standards, the protocols, so when you come back home, you can apply both your medical skills, but also the entire ecosystem, the organizational culture, and other things. But when I arrived in America, as a young man, as a young doctor, as a young professional, I was really excited to this country. To tell you the truth, I saw it very developed, as they told me. Trains, buses, good cities. I was really amazed. And I asked a critical question to my supervisor. How does a country develop this much? Like, how do they do it? When I came, it was on the 4th of July. So it was the celebration of independence of America. It was the 4th of July in 2016. America was celebrating 240 years of independence. 240 years of stability. 240 years of peace. And when you see all these things, they have been built in the last 246 years. And we are just 30 years. You can see the difference. I think when we become 240 from the 30 we are today, it's going to be huge. Then I asked my supervisor, how does a country do this? How did America do this? She told me, you are not supposed to discuss history in a medical lab. Again, we have a disclaimer, we don't discuss politics in NIH. So, but I'm going to give you good advice. In all your weekends, go to Washington, D.C., and visit all these 15 museums, the Smithsonian museums that are here. For those who still have time, they have to visit the museums here in the D.C. And then visit Lincoln Memorial, Thomas Jefferson Memorial, Washington Monument, Martin Luther King Memorial, and if you have time, go to Maryland and even visit the Harriet Tubman. So I went to all of those places. And she told me, my supervisor, what did you get as a scientist? What do you get in those names I give you? So Lincoln Memorial, Thomas Jefferson Memorial, Washington Monument. She told me, to do this, America had names, big names. Abraham Lincoln, Thomas Jefferson, Martin Luther King, Harriet Tubman. And she told me, in order to do it in Rwanda, you need a name. And she told me, you have a name actually, Paul Kagame. She told me in Rwanda, in the last, of course today, in the last 30 years, you have a name. And that name will help you. It has helped you to build what you have already built, but that name will continue to help you to build even the generations to come. So there is always a name in the developed country. My supervisor even told me, if you go in other countries, go to Singapore, there is a name, Lee Kuan Yew. In any country you go, and she asked me, did you pass by Paris? I said no. But there is also an airport called the CDG. There is, CDG is what? Is Charles de Gaulle. There is always a name behind a very developed country. And Rwanda, we have a name, guys. And that was number one. And then I asked her, but how do they build these big buildings, these convention centers, the universities, and these NIH? And she told me, here in America, there's a strong private sector, strong people doing business, another kind of model, different models of wealth creation. We have the Wall Street, the stock markets. She told me we even have the Silicon Valley for innovations. And she told me, if you want your country to be developed, learn some of the models we have here. Try to find an innovation hub in your country. Try to work harder with the wealth creation models and develop your private sector. That's one of the other things she told me. But then I asked her, it seems you have been very peaceful, no wars, no nothing. She told me, visit the Arlington National Cemetery. So she sent me to Arlington National Cemetery, and then I asked her, a big cemetery with the military graves. And I asked her, why do you want me to go there? And she told me, for a nation to be like this, to be peaceful for this long, 240 years, you need a strong military. You need a strong army that will protect your country inside and outside. And I told her that, as far as I know, in Rwanda, when you ask the population of Rwanda, who are you satisfied with? They will tell you 99.9% we are satisfied with the president. Next, we are satisfied with our military. And I think we are there. So to tell you what I learned in America, the only thing I kept asking, Ambassador, it's the wall in the border on the neighboring countries, the wall. Like, you always have issues with the neighbors. So then I always ask, why, if you are developed, peaceful, strong, you want to build the wall? And the easy answer is, neighbors are always like that. So you need to... You need to always deal with the neighbors. When they are hungry, they will think you have taken their food. So, even if you are developed as America, you need to deal with your neighbors. So back home also, we have some issues of the neighbors, and I don't know. I don't know if maybe the ambassador with her diplomacy will try to correct this statement. But I want to tell you that for the young people, Rwanda at 30 means the name. I think you've got the name, right? We have to love our name, protect our name, cherish our name. And when we are in 2024, we have to remember our what? Our name. And then young people keep asking, what kind of skills do we need? What kind of commitments do we need after 30 years of Rwanda? The future is unpredictable, and the world is going to keep changing. Our friends, we are not sure if they are going to continue to be our friends, but the American friends will continue to be our friends, right? So, at least that we can understand. We can put that in our bank. But the world is changing, so we'll need new models of diplomacy. So if we have young people in America studying international relations and diplomacy, we will need new skills in that domain. With the artificial intelligence and the new skills and the robotics, we need new skills also to bring back home. But if you are successful here in America, we encourage you to continue to be excellent where you are. And when you are excellent, doing great, getting some money, send us some money back home. Yes. We don't want you to rush and come home quickly. No, get first those money and send us some. And I think this is also one way we can do it. So having said this, Rwanda at 30, we need to continue liberating our mindsets. The journey of developing Rwanda is today, tomorrow, and in the future. America is 247 years old. 247 independent, peaceful, democratic. We are just 30. We are just 1/8 of what they have achieved. But think what we have achieved, where we came from as a nation. There is really a hope in the horizon. We can do it. And to tell you the truth, we have young people committed. In a room, we have young people who came from Rwanda on their own ticket, who came to show you what they are doing. Please see what they are doing. They are amazing. The future is in the hands of the young people, and they are very ready and committed. So I want to assure you that Rwanda at 30 give us a lot of work, a lot of commitment, but as far as we have these energetic young people, we can do it. But will you stay our friend in the next 240 years?
You can count on it. Yes, you can absolutely count on it, Minister. I think you can see why Rwanda is so successful and Minister Abdallah here. Please. Yes.
Yes.
barakoze abayobozi bacu ba nyakubahwa ministers ndetse n'umuyobozi waje kwifatanya nabo inshuti y'u Rwanda ku kiganiro cyiza badukoreye kigaruka ku myaka 30 u Rwanda ku isi. Biraryoshye cyane. Nagira rero ngo mu mwanya dusangira ibitekerezo, abafite ibitekerezo hashobora no kuboneka bifuza kugira icyo babaza bakiri mu myanya yabo. Nagira ngo twakire ibitekerezo bibiri bituruka muri ruriya ruhande babisubize bakiri mu byicaro. Mwanya nuwanyu, kugira ngo abafite microphone baradufasha kugira ngo ibitekerezo ibibazo bibagereho nabo bakoresha umwanya neza basubiza. Ndabona wazamuye ukuboko, abafite microphone bamwegereza. Muri ruriya ruhande ndabona umuntu. Oh.
Thank you very much. I've been asked to make a few comments about the progress for the last 30 years. I've had the privilege of evaluating and watching Rwanda at 30. And as the Minister of Youth said, I think the question is not how did America do it, but how did Rwanda do it? And in 30 years, Rwanda is now the country with more women in parliament than any country in the world. That's a big part of the progress. Rwanda has made tremendous progress in increasing life expectancy and lowering poverty. In education, the innovative use of technology. In healthcare, using drones to deliver medicine to rural areas. So I honor today 30 years of what I call people-centered development. And after 30 years, I hope the world realizes this is the story of hope in the world. Thank you.
Yego twakwakira ikindi gitekerezo. Arakoze cyane.
Like the predecessor, I'm Colonel Retired Rick Worth, longtime friend. Can you hear me now? Okay, there we go. I've been asked to make some remarks. I'm Colonel Retired Rick Worth, a longtime friend of Rwanda. First and foremost, what I want to say, Rwanda's success is attributed to the vision of the Rwandan Patriotic Front. Prior to me going to Rwanda in October 1994 and support the attaché to reestablish U.S. Embassy, my good friend Charles Moragandi had given me the RPF program. Unlike many liberation organizations globally, Rwanda actually accomplished the Rwandan Patriotic Front vision. It's about a 40-page document. That's the testament. There was a blueprint, and then coupled with that was leadership. What I'm going to talk about is the greatness of the Rwandan military, because first and foremost, it was the Rwandan Patriotic Army that stopped the genocide in 1994. Secondly, almost immediately, they integrated. I went to Gako in 1994, and I met former Force Armée Rwandaises that were integrated. But more importantly, during the Second Congo War, the Rwandans needed fighters. And so what happened is the majority of the people would come out of the refugee camps. There was a registry, and they integrated Force Armée Rwandaise. Let me just share an anecdote. There was an officer who was wounded outside of Kalemi, and in his army, the FAR, if you were from Bayumba or you from Gisenyi or Ruhengeri, there was a hierarchy. He thought, okay, I'm a Hutu. The Tutsi soldier's not going to rescue me. Well, guess what? They were all RPA, and he wound up going back to the hospital in Rwanda. That's the testament to the greatness of Rwanda. As a military professional, I would rate the Rwandan Defense Force, RDF, as the greatest military in sub-Saharan Africa. Why do I say this? Previously, I would have rated the Ethiopian National Defense Force. But because of the civil war in Ethiopia, they no longer hold that status. But if you look at the accomplishments of the RDF, first and foremost in peacekeeping, fourth in the world, President Kagame told all his troops going to Darfur, we are not going to allow human rights abuses. We're going there to enforce the peace because we are the victims of a failed UN mission, UNAMIR. And it was not Dallaire's fault. It came out in New York. And I know that for a fact because I was a major at the Pentagon working this. Dallaire asked for intervention. He was denied time and time again. Just read his book. Lastly, as the minister indicated, Rwanda has bilateral relations. They instilled peace in Mozambique. SADC is leaving, and it looks like Rwanda is probably going to have to send another 2,000 troops. The people in northern Mozambique revere the Rwandan police and the Rwandan military over their own security forces. That's a testament. And lastly, in the Central African Republic, they serve as a counterweight. Everybody has heard of Wagner, which are predatory. The solution to the CAR, and this is coming from a good Rwandan brother of mine, who remains unnamed, but the United States government needs to get behind the Rwandans to train the security force of CAR, and then we make Wagner irrelevant. And I'll leave it at that.
mu by'ukuri ntibabajije ibibazo birasa nkaho bashimaga twabasubiza umwanya bakagira icyo babivugaho noneho tugasoza icyiciro cya mbere cy'ibitekerezo byatanzwe.
So I think there is not much to say on the interventions we just heard from the floor. It's about just testimonies about the achievement of Rwanda in the last 30 years. And those achievements were possible because of the leadership, the vision, the determination of the leadership and the citizens of Rwanda, but most importantly, the ownership of our development. Ambassador Jendai referred to homegrown solutions. That means that we can borrow good practices from here and there, but we need to own them and to adapt them to our own culture, to our own society, and that is what we did. And that is how we could achieve some results, like the life expectancy referred to by Professor Maggie, and many other achievements. So it is just about leadership. It is very important. It is about the vision, but it is also about the leadership being able to share that vision with the population for the ownership and being able to implement and achieve the result we're celebrating today. So that's what I got from these interventions, and I don't know if you have to comment further.
Yes, I'd like to just conclude by saying that we talked about Rwanda at 30, but also Rwanda in the world. I think it's extremely important to emphasize some of the points that the minister and even Rick made about the role that Rwanda is playing in terms of the elevation of Africa as a whole. It's sort of Pan-African push. And specifically, when I think about it, the minister talked about the Rwanda's role in the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement to actually bring prosperity to the continent by creating one large market. It's absolutely critical. And it took the leadership of President Kagame as the chair of the African Union to really push that forward and get all of the countries on the continent to agree and ratify that treaty. Secondly, the move towards the free movement of African people across the continent has been led and spearheaded by Rwanda and President Kagame as well. I think that's extremely important, and we need to acknowledge that. As Rick said and others, the Rwandan military is playing a peacekeeping and stability role across the continent. I recall in South Sudan when there was some fighting going on, and President Kagame had to warn the South Sudanese that the RPA was going to, the Rwanda Patriotic Army was going to protect civilians. So do not attack civilians because it's on at that point. You know, and I think that that type of clarity of the need to protect civilian populations in these conflict areas and to play a role as a stabilizer that goes beyond, yes, Rwanda is part of UN missions, but it is also doing relationships or bilateral agreements with countries that are in crisis, like Mozambique with the terror threat there in the north. And Rwanda is playing that stability role. And so I think that whether it's prosperity, it's economics, it's a vision for the continent to play a role in terms of the transformation of this globe. We're at an inflection point where the international system is completely in flux. The rules of the game are changing, and it's going to take a united Africa and leadership of a country like Rwanda to get that collective voice, to be able this time, right, this time when the rules are set, just like after World War II, the rules were set, most African countries were colonized. This time they're free. And let's support Rwanda in being a major continued catalyst for Africa's role globally.
Thank you very much. I really captured good points from the discussants. We are going into Kwibuka 30, we are going into Kwibohora 30, and after Kwibohora we are going into elections. I want to request the people who are in attendance here, even those online, that this year has a special meaning to Rwandans. Because Rwanda at 30, it means, even in my portfolio as the Minister of Youth, young people are between 16 and 30. So if you become 31, you are no longer young. So this year, you gotta decide, because Rwanda is out of 16 to 30 bracket. So there will be a lot of decisions to take, but we need to when we are doing Kwibuka 30, we have to remember. We have to remember where we came from, different choices our country has taken. We have to preserve what we have achieved. We have to build even more, but also we have to improve. I think my call to the young people is that we need ideological clarity always, to understand the choices we have taken, to master our history, and to say yes to all good policies our leaders are giving us, and of course, to do our best in 2024. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much to our distinguished panelists. Thank you for your wisdom. I will actually give an opportunity to one more person to ask a question. If you have a burning question that you really want to ask, you want to make sure you have the opportunity. And we can take a question from this side. I see a hand back there. Let's get the mic to you.
Thank you. Thank you. My name is Prof. Yohani Kainamura, and I am an educator for trade. So mine is more like an appreciation to what the leadership of Rwanda has been doing in terms of all aspects of the Rwandan development. But more importantly, as an educator, I wanted to appreciate what they have done in terms of education, because I believe that education is the basic right and one of the most powerful drivers of economic development. And I believe that education is one of the most important tools that can improve health, economic development, can improve equality, gender, and it is no surprise that Rwanda has made strides in all those areas because they have invested so much in education. I have been watching education in Rwanda, and there is a strong indication that Rwanda is on the rise. My friends, Rwanda is on the rise. When you look at the young people, what they are achieving, it's on the rise. But I also believe that education is not a destination. It is a journey, and that journey we have to all take all together. Friends, I know that many of us do not live in Rwanda, but we can still participate. We can still contribute to that endeavor, because I believe that with education, with a strong education, we can make our country shine. It's already shining, but it can, there is no limits. The sky is the limit. So I want to encourage my fellow men, my countrymen, the diaspora members, do all you can. The education has become global. You can participate, you can educate, you can teach, you can start schools, you can do so much to really empower young people in our country. Because in the last 30 years, with what has been done, education is clearly one of the indicators that the progress has been made, and it needs to be sustained, and that's where you and I come in. So I really encourage you to come in and join in and help build our country. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. I did see one person there who had asked before. If you want to quickly ask your question, please make it quick.
Thank you. I'm not going to speak in English, guys. I'm sorry, and I'm sorry. ntabwo ari ikibazo ahubwo ni igitekerezo ni icyifuzo umuyobozi wacu minisitiri w'urubyiruko atubwiye ukuntu hari abajene bavuye mu Rwanda bitegeye bakazanga muri Rwanda Day nasabaga natwe urubyiruko cyangwa se abantu batuye hanze y'igihugu cyane cyane hano muri Amerika kubera iki twebwe tutamanuka tukajya iwacu hanyuma tukajya gusura igihugu cyacu nk'urubyiruko nasabaga ubuyobozi bwacu ubuyobozi bw'igihugu mu gihugu imbere ndetse n'umuyobozi uduhagarariye hano muri Amerika yuko babiganiraho barangiza bakadushakira igihe yaba icyumweru si ngombwa yuko biba buri mwaka bishobora kuba rimwe mu myaka 2 cyangwa se rimwe mu myaka 3 ariko natwe tukajyayo nayo mafaranga badusabye twagenda tuyajyanye urakoze cyane.
Thank you so much. You all can respond to these questions briefly and we'll move on to the next session.
So, I want to say that while we are celebrating the achievements of our country during the last 30 years, we need to keep in mind that development is a process. So we have achievements to celebrate today, but we need to keep focused and to be mindful that we need to keep improving in some of specific sectors like education, which was mentioned. And I thank the call for everybody to contribute to that particular sector of education and other sectors. So development is a process. There are achievements, but if we just stay there and celebrate and be happy what we have achieved, tomorrow we'll be lagging behind all other nations. So let's keep focused. Let's keep just looking at way to improve on what we have achieved, to build on those achievements, and go even further. Thank you.
Thank you again to our brilliant panelists. We will move on now to the next session. And I do want to say, you guys have all heard for yourselves the remarkable progress that our country has made in such a short time. It's only the beginning. We still have about 100-something years to go to catch up, and we've set a record. So I think it's a challenge for you all today to remember that it takes a name, and you all can be that name today, and you can commit to being that name today. Thank you. All right. So I now have the honor of introducing our next group of brilliant panelists for our second session on the theme, Taking Care of Our Health. So please help me welcome our panelists. The first one is going to be Dr. Ivan Butera, the Minister of State. We also have Dr. Pauline Basinga from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. We have Stella Mucho from the University of Global Health Equity. We also have Dr. Nadej Nziza from the Reagan Institute at MIT and Harvard. And we also have Dr. Sinai Fiseha from Susan T. Buffett Foundation. Thank you all. Please take the stage.
To Rwanda at different times. All my research, although studying in Europe, was tackling issues that were of critical importance to Rwanda. That's how I kept the link with Rwanda forever. And about close to a year ago, join into a different position. I became the Minister of State for Health for my country. And of course, many challenges that we found, a long journey that the country has gone through. But one that I'd like to put out here today is an issue of workforce that we have not only in Rwanda but on the continent in general, where on an average you have one skilled health care worker per 1,000 people, while the standard should be 4. So there's this bold initiative in Rwanda to quadruple our healthcare workers in the next 4 years. It's a program called 4x4. In the next 4 years, it might sound impossible, but impossible is not Rwandan. With all your support here, I think we'll be able to achieve this, and we call for your participation in all the different ways to help us achieve this critical need that we have for the country. Thank you. Over to you, Nadej.
Hello, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here today. So yes, my name is Nadej Nziza. I'm a researcher in biology, more precisely immunology. And I work in Boston at Reagan Institute of MGH, MIT, and Harvard, where we do work on different forms of disease. So we work on infectious diseases, autoimmune disorders, cancer, and so more specifically in children, trying to see how we can help kids be better protected against different forms of diseases. So I work in Boston while always collaborating with Rwanda.
Hello, everyone. It's such an honor to be here. My name is Stella Mucho, and I'm the head of marketing and communications for the University of Global Health Equity and also Partners in Health. Very long name, but to tell the story short, I'm very glad to sit on a panel with one of our alumni, the Minister of State, Yvonne Witera. And the mission we're working on, as a storyteller, what can I say is really reimagining how education could be if it's equity and also service-centered. And it's always a pleasure to be in the panel where there's a lot of people who work in health and are also having equity as a centered approach. So thank you so much.
Muraho. My name is Sanait Fasaha. I was born and raised in Ethiopia. I did my training in the United States. I'm a physician and a lawyer by training, a professor of obstetrics and gynecology, lived in the US for about 35 years, and recently immigrated to Rwanda. As I tell people, I say I'm Ethiopian by birth, happen to be American by chance, and Rwandan by choice. And it's just an incredible honor to be here. I run the Buffett Foundation's global program. We recently, in the middle of COVID, decided to open an Africa office. We looked around, and of course we couldn't find a better place and partner than Rwanda, so that's where we're based. I also serve on the board of University of Global Health Equity. I consider myself part of the Ministry of Health, and truly, truly an honor to work and serve in Rwanda, and maybe later on I'll say a little bit more, but for us, our foundation is single-handedly focused on the health and well-being of women and girls. And when we look at places where we can work, at a given point we were working in 84 countries, and we couldn't find a better partner and role model, not just for Africa, but frankly for the world, than Rwanda, where gender equity, equality is practiced. Health is not the mere absence of disease, but the realization of well-being, where innovation and risk-taking are part of the everyday. So we feel like we're in this incredible laboratory where we are piloting, testing, measuring, and scaling and taking effective interventions to the rest of the world. So it's an incredible privilege to be part of this journey. to you.
Thank you very much, tonight. Hi, everyone. My name's Paulin Basinga, but back home they call me Louvre. So Masamba, if you need someone today, I'm a trained medical doctor, public health expert, but also an artist. I used to be an artist, so I can work with Masamba as well today. I think I'll introduce myself based on the number of WhatsApp group I belong to. The first WhatsApp group I belong to, it's called IDAP, ISP Bunia. So I grew up in DRC, so I did my secondary school back in the DRC, and then came back to Rwanda when I was 18 in 1994, just after the genocide, when the first big diaspora guy, or president, you heard, he came back from the US to go back to liberate the country, did something amazing. He actually sent the RPF military to protect the University of Rwanda so that we can go back to school in March 1995. So we actually were the first promotion we opened after the genocide 1995. This is my second WhatsApp group of all medical doctors that went to school in 1995. We're all connected together. Some of them are in this room. Then I did my medical school there, finished, and then worked at the University of Rwanda. I'm also part of that WhatsApp group, Les Anciens de l'UNR. Are you here? I saw some of you here. And then after that, taught at the university, I taught at the School of Public Health. I worked with many here and in the room to really help rebuild the system, working with many from the diaspora who came from the US, from Belgium, etc., to be our teachers to rebuild the system. And then 2012, I moved to the US after completing my MPH and PhD at Tulane University to work for the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation in Seattle, in Washington State. Third WhatsApp group, the diaspora from the US, we're all here. So, and our ambassador is here as well, so we're welcoming you all in the US. And I've been with the Gates Foundation for the past 12 years. I lead the global policy advocacy for the foundation, work very closely with Sinait and others. And it's just incredible to be connected to Rwanda. We've always been connected to Rwanda because the work that we do work on global health, global development, and every time we're challenged by our leaders, both Bill and Melinda, to look at exemplar, to try to really understand which countries have done it better. And every time we do an analysis, Rwanda comes first. Name it, Rwanda is first in everything that we do. So I'm so pleased to be here with this amazing panel, and probably I think we need to go back 30 years and try to really understand where Rwanda is today in terms of health sector, and then have a conversation today. Yes, Ivan, where is Rwanda today?
Let's do that. Perhaps let me give a snapshot of where Rwanda is today. And one important thing that we can remember is that Rwanda recorded the steepest decline in mortality at any time in the world. In terms of access to care, 96% of people have access to health insurance, and that allows access to care without being constrained financially. In terms of vaccination, we have a coverage of more than 94% vaccination across 14 vaccines for kids. We've registered 3/4 of reduction in maternal mortality, 2/3 in infant mortality. Access to treatment, be it for HIV, TB, malaria, and other diseases, has been shared across the country. And as a result of that, in the last 20 years, we've been able to increase the life expectancy by 20 years, moving from 50 to now 70 years of life expectancy. It comes with its own challenges. Since a couple of years, we see death related to lifestyle diseases, that's diabetes, cardiovascular diseases, and cancers, overtaking death related to HIV, TB, malaria, and other diseases. It's a challenge that we are taking, all of us. here together to kind of move the needle further for Rwandans to live longer, healthier, and become more productive. That's where we are as a country right now, but a lot has been done to be able to achieve that, and I can't think of a better person who was there at the turn of events. This new Rwanda at 30 that we are celebrating today, Paulin, you interventions, policies that were put in place to let us be at this stage today. Over to you.
Oh, thanks, Ivan. I think when we reflect back 30 years, we recall 1994, Rwanda lost, I would say, 80% of its human resources for health, including doctors. Some doctors committed genocide, some left the country, some didn't want to be engaged. There are many people who are in the medical profession that couldn't go back to hospital because of the horror that they saw. So there was an urgency. I think I'll probably describe it very quickly into three phases, right? There is the first reconstruction phase that many Rwandans, both those who were in Rwanda and others who came back in Rwanda to actually start rebuilding the country very quickly. And the way they did it in a very smart way was to accelerate the reconstruction phase and then going very quickly to start building sustainable systems, the systems that will stay for the long term. And that started between, I would say, 2000, 2001 and 2002. When the government of Rwanda actually started asking donors to say, yes, we know we are in an emergency phase, but now we need to start thinking about the long term. This is when the program like the community-based insurance scheme started, or the performance-based financing program started, etc. And the diaspora has been playing a critical role there. Every time when you send money to support your family back home, do you know how much it costs to cover one Rwandan for a year? How much in dollar? How much it costs the Mutuelle de Santé? It's 1 cup of cappuccino. Just 1 cup of cappuccino. It's $4. You pay $4, it covers someone the whole year. And what it covers, actually, what the government of Rwanda has done so amazingly well, they use the Ministry of Finance money to actually cover for the poorest of the poor, so that the $4 give them access to primary care, secondary care, up to King Faisal. They can have dialysis if they are part of the mutual. So the organization that diaspora have been doing actually to send money, huge remittance has been instrumental. So continue to do those. And then during that phase as well was an amazing governance and leadership from the government of Rwanda to leverage money from PEPFAR and Global Fund. This is the US government has been contributing a lot of money. Rwanda is the best country that used that fund effectively to actually build sustainable systems, etc. And then I would say the third phase now is what Minister Ivan, every time when you talk about 4x4, I don't know if you need to explain that. Like every time I hear about a new initiative from the government of Rwanda, I'm like, oh my goodness, are we going to achieve this? And every time we are proven wrong because they just get it and they achieve it. Yeah. I'll just say, just to make sure that you imagine how young I am, given that the First Lady is here, I was among the Sirgwa Awadi when I was 35. So just, and then I'll pass it to Sinait. So take us for the next step, like what happened. And then Sinait, if you can help us to, given you are a global public health expert and someone who has been shaping the global agenda in global health, and you understand Rwanda in the perspective of globally, like what do you see? And then what, I think you've really started playing a critical role in fixing the quality of the tertiary care in Rwanda. If you can just help us and then let our colleagues as well contribute, that would be really great.
Thank you.
Maybe before that, I will put an appeal to the diaspora in the room, since we're talking to the diaspora. I don't know how many of you are confused diasporas, but I was once a confused diaspora, right? Because when you come here from home, we usually come in search of education, opportunities, and then before you know it, life just sort of takes a hold on to you. You become very busy and you don't find meaningful ways to engage, because when we think about engaging, we think about engaging sort of full-time. One of the greatest lessons I have gleaned over the last 4 years living in Rwanda is how the diaspora, especially for those of you in the health field, but frankly in any other field, can contribute. And contribution doesn't necessarily mean you pick up and immigrate like I did, because, not everyone, we all are on different trajectories. But whatever you're doing, finding a way to connect. For those of you who are in social work, how can you come and teach social workers in the hospitals at the community health level to provide better social care? If you are in public health, how do you come and connect with the School of Public Health? Even when you come once a week during the holidays, you spend 2, 3, 4 days lecturing, connecting to students. You have no idea how impactful those little interventions are. But coming back to the question, how do I see it currently? How do I look at it sort of moving forward? One of the most remarkable things about Rwanda is leadership, right? We've talked about leadership. You cannot underestimate the role of leadership. As I said earlier, I've worked in many, many places, and what is so remarkable is the level of clarity from the president about what every Rwandan deserves, right? It's not mediocre care, it's not low-level care. The expectation, despite limited resources, that every Rwandan deserves the best care. And that kind of mindset does a lot. So, you mentioned 4x4. So, and Minister Yvonne alluded to 4x4. So 4x4 is this incredible initiative that the government of Rwanda is embarking on, and we have the enormous privilege of supporting. The goal is to quadruple Rwanda's health workforce in the next 4 years. Nurses, doctors, midwives, community health workers, social workers, therapists, and this ambitious goal, it seems so simple on paper. If we follow the current trajectory, so around the world, according to the World Health Organization, there's shortage of 18 million health workers, and these are mostly in sub-Saharan Africa. So like many countries around the world, if Rwanda continues at the current pace of training limited number of nurses and midwives and doctors, it will take us, Minister Yvonne, what about how many years? 185 years to reach the minimum goal. And the government of Rwanda said, this is unacceptable. We are not going to accept this. So we are mobilizing partners. We're looking into the diaspora. We're looking to every citizen, the business community, development partners to say, how do you collaborate with us to scale up training? And just to give you a flavor, in the last 4 years, we've launched over 10 subspecialty training programs. For the first time in Rwanda, for example, a person who's looking for kidney transplant no longer has to leave Rwanda in search of renal transplant. So this goes to show you, from this to vaccine manufacturing, when you look at Rwanda, the agenda that we set for the population are now that is providing outstanding care. So in the middle of COVID, soon after I arrived, I was very sick and I was in the ICU. I had the means to get on either a commercial or a charter plane and come back to the United States. And I did not do that. So whether it's myself or my children, the goal is to create, and what we have frankly right now is an outstanding healthcare system that will provide the best care for every citizen. It does not mean that we don't have problems. It does not mean that we are not moving forward. We still have a long way to go. But frankly, by any comparison right now, for myself and for my family, we get outstanding quality health care in Rwanda, in Kigali, that does not require us to get on a plane and travel. So maybe from here, I'm going to give Nadege an opportunity to talk about what should we expect from brilliant young Rwandans like you who are have the opportunity to do cutting-edge research in one of the best facilities in the world, Harvard and MIT. So what are some of the lessons you have gleaned, and what are some of the perspectives you've gained that you want to share with the young diaspora in the room?
Yes, thank you. This was nice. So we've heard all about the amazing accomplishments that we saw like in Rwanda, and always remembering, just like Dr. Abdallah said earlier, how different, like more developed countries, let's say in bigger continents, had centuries to get there, while us, within just a few decades, we got there. So that's pretty amazing to see. And behind every great public health improvements, we also have advances in terms of research. So like in research, we're always trying to find ways to improve diagnostic approaches, treatments, like also like access to all these facilities where we can have people being treated. And so I like to talk about a bit more about my career pathway. So I started with my studies here in Rwanda, and I was also always curious about what is happening in other countries. What can we learn from other countries in order, of course, to bring it back home? And so I decided to go to college and university in Europe. I did my PhD there as well, always keeping in touch with different researchers in Rwanda to see how can I adapt the research that I'm doing in order to fit the needs in Rwanda, but also what can I learn from Rwanda, because we've seen incredible development in such a few years, so that we also have a lot to show off different countries. And so, yeah, so I went to Europe for that, and just a few years ago I arrived in Boston, where I'm doing postdoctoral studies on immune disorders, so biology. We're working on different diseases. We work on infectious disease, autoimmune disorders, cancer, and something that really is really important to mention about all this pathway is the support that I got within my own community. So instead of just looking at what others are capable of doing, we can also look within our network. We always have people within the Rwandan community that can help us, that can guide us, and even inform us on everything that we can do remotely, while also and always collaborating with Rwanda. And like, for example, a personal story that I had, I remember after my PhD, during my PhD, I was invited in Paris it was a L'Oréal UNESCO gathering where they were giving awards to incredible women who did great work. And I remember there was Professor Romain Morenzi, and I was telling him how hard the PhD was and how I thought that I had learned enough. And that after the PhD, I was good. I had done enough, I just wanted to go back home, be with my family. And his reaction was so memorable. He really told me, but what do you mean? Like, no, you're here, you have to continue, go further, It's really about knowing that you are capable of doing it, always keeping in touch with people within your network. And something to really emphasize on is that you need your network to move forward, but you can also be an important person for other people, and then you can really help them. Sometimes just by putting two people in touch, just sending an email, just by giving a few advice, helping for a CV or something. I've been talking to someone on LinkedIn who just reached out to me because he's Rwandese, and he said, it's great what you're doing, can you help me? So just by helping a little, you have no impact, no idea of how big of an impact you can have with different people. So I really want to encourage the diaspora, but also people living in Rwanda, do not underestimate the power that you can have within your own community. So let's start there and learn from others, and also remember that people have to learn from us. And also, it's something important, when I was talking to Stella earlier, I realized how the work that her university is doing is so close. They are collaborating with Harvard, which is amazing. We can work in the US, in the Rwanda, be connected. That's how we are part of the development. It's really via the different collaborations that we develop and we maintain, because it's not everything to just have a collaboration. We have to keep using it, have it grow even more. And in Harvard, we even had an email last year about the work that was done with Stella's University, Global Health Equity, showing everything that they are doing in Rwanda. And I was so happy and so proud to see that even in Harvard, we all got this email. Every Harvard affiliate got an email talking about the work that is being done in Rwanda. It was so amazing. And so Stella knows more about it, and she'll be able to tell you more about it.
Yeah. I mean, it's an incredible time to be in Rwanda, especially, I want to mention that tomorrow is World Cancer Day. It will be a shame not to mention what's happening in Rwanda. Today, 10 years ago, when cancer was just a death sentence in Rwanda. But today, if you go to Rwanda, you not only have the best care in terms of like cancer care, but you also have access to it as well. So no matter what, this partnership with Partners in Health and the University of Global Health Equity is really anchored in equity. Equity is a big word that we kind of throw around, but what we're trying to say is no matter what your background is, whether it be socio-economical, whether it be the gender, whatever it is, nothing is going to determine your health outcomes. And I think that's the biggest thing that Rwanda has achieved so far. No diseases is going to hold you back. And you are going to have also the best treatment in terms of universal health coverage with the Ministry of Health. But another thing to say is, like, if you want to change the health system, the incredible things that Rwanda has done, it has also become a training ground for other countries to learn from us. Now I work for a university that is, I don't know if I mentioned that, but that is number 8. That was ranked number 8 in Africa, and that's a big thing. Being ranked number 8 for a university that just started just about 10 years ago, it's how you see what the impact is. We have now applications that go as far as Australia to come learn from the model of Rwanda in terms of like global health delivery. And when you think about the University of Global Health Equity, it's in the 4x4 strategy as well that Minister Yvonne mentioned, it's not only about quadrupling and the quantity aspect. We have to think also about the qualitative aspect. What kind of doctors are we putting out in the world? And that's what Rwanda and also with the partnership with Partners in Health want to ask. What are the values a doctor should hold with all the problems that the world has now, so that any kind of injustice has a cure? So our medical students for the first year don't even touch biology courses. What they learn is about social medicine. How do you treat a patient holistically, considering gender, considering community, considering all kinds of aspects that are social determinants of health. So I think Rwanda is establishing great strides with the partnership with foundations such as Susan Buffett's Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation to really rethink what kind of health professionals are going to deliver the care that Africa needs tomorrow. People with the right values, the values that no life matters more than another, that your background should not determine your outcome in terms of health. And all of that is done somewhere, I don't know if I can even paint you a picture. Have any, and what would you ask, like, why a state-of-the-art medical facility and a world-class education facility will be based in the most rural place that you can imagine? well, because impossible is not Rwandan, obviously. I think Yvonne said that. But also, you have students there who are going to learn how to deliver the best quality care in a resource-limited setting. Do you know what that means? No world problem is out of reach for Rwanda to solve, because you have professionals who have the right values, world-class education, but also who can be, let's call it scrappy, in terms of like solving problems. And that's what Rwanda has done amazingly in the past 10 years, in the past 20 years for Partners in Health, when they started to deliver medical health care with the philosophy that is no one should be left behind, whether it be something as expensive as cancer care or something so basic as giving childbirth, or something so advanced such as an ICU stay if you have respiratory disease. And I think this is something remarkable you should all be proud of. But also I want to encourage all of you to think of beyond even partnership. How can every Rwandan diaspora be a partner? Because as Paulin mentioned, it's $4 to a cappuccino to cover like the health system. So in terms of partnership, we don't have to also rely on big foundation only, but all of you can actually contribute to this work actively. And we all have a mission to say. For instance, I'm an engineer turned storyteller, communication, sitting on a panel of doctors. I'm not a doctor, but yet I'm contributing to the health system.
No, I'm going to disagree a little bit with that, because mwabonye abakobwa bacu kuno barezwe neza. One thing, so there is, I was taking a cab from DC, so I'm staying in DC to come here, and then my cab driver said, "What is happening? There are a group of people coming to this place." And I said, "No, it's Rwanda Day." And then she said something that really stuck with me. She said, "Oh, wow. They are different kind of people. They are polite, they are well-dressed, they are not overweight, they are well-mannered." Oh, yeah. So then, you see these two young ladies, they are big deal. You know, she works for Ragon University. It's a Harvard and MIT collaboration. But this is a big deal. This is Rwanda today. This is happening. We should clap for them, you know. And as part of the foundation, and you know, the work that she's done, like she sent a tweet recently. Can you talk a little bit about that tweet? We talked about it in the board of IGIHE. What happened?
Yeah, I was pretty proud, because it's one thing to work for an organization as a comms person to say, "Oh yeah, we are training the next global health leaders." But recently, I got the honor to draft, and also in the moment I was going to press send to the tweet, 6 people, alumni, I'm not including you, Yvonne, but alumni were, you know the yellow paper. Does anyone know the yellow paper here? I think everybody knows the yellow paper. So there were 6 of our alumni were actually nominated in the yellow paper as leaders in the health system. And that, for me, this is what you call change. Yeah. That was a very proud moment. Yeah.
And then I'll pass to Sinait later, but I want to move away from the $4. I don't want to be known as the guy who asked the diaspora to send only $4. Let's put some perspective. Last year, 2023, diaspora around the world sent $470 million to Rwanda as remittances. And that is more than, you know, all aid combined. Buffett and Gates and the World Bank and USAID, they all combined. We can actually do even more. Then I was chatting with someone from the Baker here. And then I asked, like, what is really happening in Rwanda? Why we are not sending more money? I think the government needs to do more to remove a lot of fees. And then the second, we as diaspora, we need to invest more in our country. Because we live in America, we work and we are paid in dollar. We have access to cheap capital here. You can actually get a loan for, you know, 6-7%. I hope they are fixing inflation and it will go down a little bit. And then send money and invest in Rwanda, and our bank can lend it to 13, 14, 15. So let's just think about going beyond the remittances. We all do World Remit, etc. We send money to our friends. Like, we're on WhatsApp, natwe tutanga contribution, yamakwe, yibiriyo, byose turabyohereza. But let's try to think a little bit beyond that. Can we have an account? Can you think about retirement? That home, we need to think more about that, like sending even more money to do bigger things. So,
sure. I'm not going to ask you to put more money because Poland has done that. But let that sink in. That's close to, right, like $500 million, $500 million coming from the diaspora. So that's just truly incredible. But I know President Kagame will agree with me. This is Rwanda Day, but I think it's beyond Rwanda Day. Frankly, it is Africa Day. Every time I hear him speak, he speaks for Rwanda and Africa. And as an African, and I know there are many non-Rwandans in this room, friends of Rwanda, other African diaspora. I know I've seen so many of my Ethiopian colleagues here. And what is remarkable about Rwanda is if you look at, it's frankly in my entire life, I've lived short and long term in many, many parts of the world, in Asia and Africa and North America. It's the one place that is non-sectarian, non-tribal, where I, for the first time in my 50s, I have found a sense of belongingness. And that is so powerful, right? To belong is powerful. And for Rwandans, but for friends of Rwanda, Yvonne and I on our way here was talking to a friend that we hope will be joining us back in Rwanda soon. But many of you, other African diaspora, come and serve. And when you are in Rwanda, you will see that Rwanda is not positioning itself only for Rwanda, but for the rest of Africa. So right now, at King Faisal, for example, we are, and the same in Butare, we're serving patients from Burundi, from Uganda, from DRC, from Congo, from everywhere. It doesn't matter. Like, we are agnostic to politics. We are focused on humanity. So it is really, look at it at a place to go and live your human values. So my appeal is to all of you in the room to contribute in every possible way you can for the development of Rwanda, and look at it, it's for development of Africa and the development of humanity.
And to add on that, I think that yes, of course, let's come back, bring to our, participate in the development of our country. Just like I said, it's very important. And I'd say that here, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that all of us, we know about the value of our country. We know how important it is to stay in touch, bring everything that we can to our country. I think that no one here needs to be convinced about that, but I'd say that to add on this, in addition to come back to Rwanda and to contribute, something important is to learn about our country, know everything that has been done, get your facts straight, know about the numbers, because the biggest challenge is not to convince us, I think, because we know what we've done. We know where we came from and where we are today. It's really to know about the fact, educate ourselves. So that when we go abroad, when we talk about Rwanda, and because it's important to have collaborations, to have investors that come. It's how you share knowledge, by collaborating. So the key part, the biggest difficulty that you will have will be to convince people outside of Rwanda to come. So I'd say that learn about Rwanda. I even learned also about the coverage for vaccine, right? It's 95% of people who are vaccinated today. It's huge. It's really big. So we need to know all the facts so that we can share them and prove ourselves outside of the world.
I think going back to also adding to what you just said, as a person who works in comms and marketing, there is something that is so distinctive to me when I was studying in Canada that I remember. When you Googled Rwanda at that time, you will see terrible stories. It's either about genocide and all the terrible things that happened in our country, which is good to educate ourselves. But it was really the danger of a single narrative. But today, if you Google Rwanda, you see Visit Rwanda, you see all kinds of things. But there is another layer that needs to be told. And the layer that really needs to be told is the next phase of Rwanda, which is the quality healthcare, but also the innovation, the technology that is happening. And all of you, we have, as Rwandans, a responsibility to educate ourselves, But I think as Rwandans, we are pretty good storytellers. I think just in general, like when you go to any Gusaba, the stories that are there, even made up, it's quite incredible. So, so I just really want to encourage everyone to maybe just put that little juice, that little, kawanga, and also in the real stories. When you go out there, think of yourself as your vessel as well, someone who has to tell a story and about your country. And our story is your story. So the more you speak about Rwanda, the more, I would say as a comms person, the algorithm will be on our side.
Nyakubahwa Lady, turashimira abapanaliste bacu, ariko kuko nanone tuza gusangira ibitekerezo, nabonye benshi bafite ibitekerezo. Ndashimira Imana ko mu myaka 30 ishize n'ibibazo byarashize. Abantu baratanga ibitekerezo. Reka rero mubinyemereye nyakubahwa First Lady twakire muri ruriya ruhande ibitekerezo bibiri, hanyuma turaza kugaruka no muri ruhande. Abafite mic mudufashe, abayobozi bakiri mu byicaro baraza kudufasha kusubiza.
Hello, my name is Vincent Butera. I'm a global health, specialist. I work at the Center for Disease Control. And before I ask my question, I want to add something on Paule's title. Paule is a mentor. Some few years back, and everybody from the state of Washington will agree with this. If you work in global health, in health, and you go to Seattle, everybody will say, have you met Dr. Paule? And when I was there, within 2 or 3 days, he was able to make time to meet me and give me some advice, and I've always carried that at heart. So on those many group chats, I'm sure there is one where Dr. Paule is always the mentor. So Dr. Paule earlier mentioned that in all the analysis that you do at Gates Foundation, Rwanda always comes at the top as a high performer. And I want to emphasize that on the success Rwanda has had over the past 30 years, from high rates of HPV vaccines and affordable universal health care, and now IGIHE trying to train new doctors and things like that. I want to really also echo what you guys said about the success that Rwanda has had over the 30 years. But to that, my question goes to sustainability. Over the past 10 or 15 years, the geopolitical climate has changed, especially around funding. As we speak, PEPFAR, which has really contributed sustained in a meaningful way towards HIV and other infectious diseases, and the Presidential Malaria Initiative, even PEPFAR is still on hold. It has not been ratified again to be able to provide that kind of care to the mostly African countries. So my questions on sustainability is, what are we doing as Rwanda, maybe even if you can expand it to the African continent as a whole, to be able to put together processes that allow us to be able to sustain and fund our own health systems, so that we really do not depend on whatever political party that is being elected in the US or some capital in Europe. Thank you.
Yeah. Ikindi gitekerezo muri ruriya ruhande, ndabona wazamuye mwamushyikiriza indangururamajwi. Murakoze, reka twongere dusabe ko ujya gutanga igitekerezo yavuga izina akarasa ku ntego kugira ngo ducunguze uburyo umwete. Murakoze cyane.
Hello. Yes, my name is Lucy Kalinda. I came all the way from Ottawa, Canada. So I'm a medical doctor. Hi, Canadians. So thank you for this opportunity, and I really thank this panel. I see one of my colleagues, Dr. Paule Basinga. We worked like a couple years ago on a very specific project. It was a collaboration between the University of Ottawa and the University of Butare. And it was basically about HIV prevention, and I was coordinating that project, and he was doing the same thing the other side. So basically, I hear like an invitation from the panel for health experts to contribute, and this is really has been in my mind and in the mind of most of other doctors. So I am also, besides being a medical doctor, I am also a wellness expert, and I just launched a book on Amazon regarding how to help like mothers, young moms to cope with stress. It's all about stress management. It's providing really concrete tools on how to handle stress and find a life balance between work, family, and also self-care. So I also heard recently our president, the Excellency Paul Kagame, educating people about lifestyle, nutrition, diet, exercising, really how to build a healthy and wealthy community. Myself, at my personal level, I really would like to be in that agenda, the wellness agenda. If in our country has like a whole wellness agenda, I'd like to contribute at my personal level. I'd like to be part of that team that can really move. And I know it's very, very important today to try to integrate artificial intelligence. And really, if we can build up a wellness hub as maybe a pilot project, and the wellness hub will really will be able to bring to build those tools, analyze data, bring like IT team and other experts in the wellness, and really fund a good project, even a boat, to be able to help decision makers really have tools that can really help build a population with evidence, science-based evidence tools. Thank you.
Turasaba ko abantu banyarutsa.
My name is Valentine. I'm a doctor in training here in the U.S. First of all, I want to thank our country for this great opportunity to be able to hear about everything that's going on in our home country. And I do hope to finish here and be able to go home and contribute to the health care there. I have a question regarding cervical cancer. As of the latest report, it is the second highest cancer in women in Rwanda. And before I moved to the U.S., I had never heard of pap smears, which is a screening method for early diagnosis for screening cancer. And so today I'm asking, is there something that Rwanda is doing, some early screening method to be able to decrease that number that is really on a high rise? If you look at numbers in the U.S., once they started to do pap smear at the age of 21 for women, it has significantly decreased the number, the rate of cervical cancer, or it is caught early enough so that people are treated and recover well. So my question is regarding what methods are being implemented to decrease that rise of a cancer that can be helped.
ngira ngo tugiye gusubiza panelist ijambo basubize mu minota itarenze 5 dusoze iki cyiciro. Murakoze cyane.
Maybe I'll take the first one and then we can share questions. So I think the first one was about sustainability. I think, Sinait, you said it very well. When President Kagame thinks about providing health care to Rwandans, he doesn't think about sustainability because he has, we've been proven wrong all the time. When we started launching the Mutuelle, I don't know if you remember the Mutuelle National Health Insurance Scheme. Rwanda was told, oh no, you need to be voluntary, you should not force people, it's against human rights. You remember at that time when you were going to ask for your passport, they will ask you, did you pay for your mutual? Because if you can travel abroad, then it means you can pay for your mutual. But then today, we have more than 90% of Rwanda that are covered, right? And it's just the sustainability in global public health has been something that has been holding us behind. The solution to that, I think, is innovation. We need to innovate and try to leapfrog, try to find ways to do things cheaply and faster. You know, Ambassador Fraser is here. PEPFAR is one of the best gifts that the US government has given to the world. That has been an amazing. When I was a young medical doctor working in the CHUK, which is the teaching hospital in Kigali, back in 2001, we used to have 120 patients with opportunistic disease, TB, HIV, without ARVs. And when they will call you at night, I was chatting with my colleague, we remember that, you'll have to go to see patient number 85, you have to go through, their casserole and the people who are, without even the means to do anything. But today, last night, Dr. Tarsis was telling me only 48 patients with mostly other treatable non-communicable diseases. With almost, malaria, we used to have 6 million cases a year. Today, 500,000 cases. TB, I think there are some breakthrough innovation that are happening in terms of vaccine. So the more we innovate, we will provide service cheaper, we can move. So if we start thinking about sustainability, we just need to go.
Thank you. But I think in addition, our colleague from CDC, you absolutely acknowledge the role of PEPFAR and other donors. And as a donor, I'll tell you, there's a lot of buzz in the donor community, and sometimes we sort of deceive ourselves that we finance health. The data is very clear. Over 85–90% of health is financed by government. So let's not forget that. So Rwanda's progress, yes, there have been catalytic funding from amazing partners, from bilateral donors, private philanthropy. But what is sustaining Rwanda right now is government funding and innovation. When you look at Zipline, when you look at Society for Family Health, we collaborated with the First Lady's Foundation in Bhutto to put out almost 1,000 private-public partnership for health posts. So it's that kind of innovation, it's that kind of thinking outside of the box. I mean, they say you don't fall to the level of your goal or ambition, you fall to the level of your systems. And what Rwanda has done very well is set up systems and institutions. So I think we have to keep ourselves clear, because we can easily fall into this narrative that what's going to happen to us when donor funding dries. Rwanda has very little donor funding. And the country is very grateful for those that are there, are supporting and working, but the country is innovating with its constraints, as you talked about, coming up with incredible solutions, technology. Rwanda was at the forefront of telemedicine, reaching using Babel, the company that has now collapsed, but nonetheless, Rwanda takes risks, it invests and it innovates, and that's how we ensure health is sustainable. And I think the other thing we didn't delve a lot into today is the role of private sector. There is incredible opportunity to grow and engage the private sector to allow quality care for those who don't want to use the public system, right? So I think we have to sort of change our thinking a little bit and not think donors, although we would like to think we do so, run these countries. And as a gynecologist, I'm really dying to talk about HPV. And the only one thing I will say is, again, Rwanda for years now has been vaccinating over 95% of its girls. It's probably one of the only countries in the world with such high level of HPV. And the real way to tackle cervical cancer from the get-go is vaccinating people and protecting them. But I would let Minister Yvonne talk about the actual other screening and diagnostic and therapeutic services available in the country.
Yes, so maybe we can use the case of cervical cancer to show how you approach an issue at a health system base. Prevention is the first one. As Sinead has talked about, more than 95% of our girls are vaccinated against HIV. And it's a program that is HPV, sorry. Something is also in the pipeline for HIV. I'm sure you've learned about, you've heard about the first top-end technology in terms of vaccine, the mRNA technology that most of us use against COVID. The first plant in Africa was launched a month ago in Rwanda, the BioNTech Africa in Rwanda. So back to cervical cancer, prevention is the first one, and I don't know if you know, but the First Lady who's here with us today is a champion of cervical cancer elimination in Rwanda, and we thank her for that. So from prevention, you move to screening from what you're saying, and how do you look at it? We want to massively screen people close to the community. You don't need to go to your gynecologist to do your test. So what in Rwanda we do with innovative technologies that we're investing in, one that is top-notch and that we call for your support to scale, is HPV DNA testing. So for us, we do it at the level of the health center. These are nurses that are trained to roll out this technology so that you're able to screen, not only screen and know, but know the specific type of the HPV strain that you might have that definitely influences the treatment. But you go beyond that. What if a person has been diagnosed with cervical cancer? So in Rwanda, we've invested into a facility that can provide radiotherapy. We have 2 advanced machines at our Rwanda Cancer Center to provide treatment for women that have already crossed that line and moved to the cervical cancer phase. But that's not enough. How do you sustain that is that you train people. And what we talked about earlier, the 4x4 program, last year we launched a program that trained Rwandan doctors, specialists in women cancers. It's the first time that we're launching it in Rwanda. So not only you prevent, you screen, you diagnose, you treat, but you train the workforce that will maintain the dignity of these women without really need to travel abroad or to spend a lot of resources. And all that care is under the umbrella of the community-based health insurance that we talked about, the mutuelle that we talked about. And I think we can, thanks for raising that up, using the cervical cancer case end-to-end delivery, but this is translated into all the other diseases that we have.
And you know that tomorrow is World Cancer Day. It's a big deal. And, you know, just to add on the cervical cancer, because there's a beautiful story about the effectiveness of implementation that you see in Rwanda. You know, in many countries in the world, many girls in low and in middle-income countries are not vaccinated. The HPV vaccine is not even introduced in country. I don't know if you knew that. But do you know what is the proportion of Rwandan girls that are vaccinated? 96%. Because of the multi-sectorial partnership between the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Local Government, Ministry of Finance, etc., the effectiveness that the government work as one government has really helped. So I work at the Gate Foundation. We funded a study to try to see, because normally we were using 2 doses of HPV vaccine, and we proved that only 1 dose is enough to provide the same protection. So this helps you to actually cut costs and manage implementation very quickly. And then Rwanda moved very quickly into 1 dose. And now this month, next month, in Colombia, we're collaborating with UNICEF to have a big HPV meeting. And Rwanda will be there to show the success, because many countries are starting to shift. Even changing a policy to shift from 2 doses to 1, it's inama, retraite, but Rwanda, it moves very quickly. I think that helps. And also the story of viral hepatitis C, maybe if you can talk about that, Minister. It's almost eliminated. I lost someone very dear to me in hepatitis 2009, hepatitis C. You remember we used to send our parent to Nairobi to take interferon. You remember that? Try to look for hepatitis C in Rwanda today. Almost not.
Can we get a mic to Bernadette Dennis? Could someone get a mic to her, please? Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me well? So I really don't have a big question, but what I want to share with you, I am sure you heard about the good things happening with healthcare in Rwanda. You heard them, I heard them. What I did not hear is someone saying thank you to the people who helped to turn around the healthcare system to the better. Can you please join your hands and do that? Thank you very much. My name is Bernadette Dennis. I am a registered nurse here. I am originally from Rwanda. So for us, Rwandan healthcare professionals, we are not saying thank you by clapping hands, by giving cappuccino, but what we are going to do to say thank you to people who had hand in turning the healthcare system in Rwanda the way it is. We are from June 1st to June 15th, we are conducting a medical mission to Rwanda to give back to our country. So we are going to join other healthcare professionals at bedside, hands-on. We are going to share our skills with them, our experience, and 15 days. And if you are Rwandan, I'm also hoping that you are going to say Tugende. Thank you very much.
That's amazing.
Thank you so much.
With a science PhD, a medical degree, an interest in business development in the science sector, to come back to Rwanda this year and next year, because we just raised 12 million euros that we need to spend in Rwanda on capacity development. Thank you for doing that. So what
Mike, I didn't even know that. Thank you.
You didn't even know that?
No.
Yeah. This goes double for you if you want to leave the NGO. So, I'm shameless. What I want you to know is that Akagera Medicines is the only African-owned, Rwanda-owned biotechnology company. We have 5 vaccines, 2 drugs. We're entering human trials in April, and we have grants from this year. We'll deliver our plans to our majority owner, the Rwanda Social Security Board, on our development plans for the next couple of years. So I think Regis is here, the head of the RSSB. I think he's here somewhere. So what's really cool about that is that all 14 million Rwandan citizens own Akagera Medicines. And if you were to return to Rwanda in the next couple of years and start paying into that system, you'll be an owner too. So thanks very much.
Right. Thank you so much, and thank you again so much to our brilliant panelists, brilliant healthcare experts. And thank you to the questions that were asked. And I have to say, this is truly the power of an event like this. You get job offers, so y'all better be taking those jobs. And you have people rallying other Rwandans, rallying friends of Rwanda, healthcare experts to go to Rwanda and contribute to what's happening in the country. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. And so as you've seen for yourselves, Rwanda is truly a role model for healthcare equity. And this is not only on the African continent, but also in the world. We're setting an example for the world on what it looks like to center people in healthcare equity, to advocate for the quality of healthcare that everyone deserves. And this is powerful. It reminds me of one of the community health initiatives that we have, the bi-monthly car-free day. Anybody been there? The car-free days? I'm in. Where else do you see that? People run, exercise together, get free healthcare testing. This is incredible. And so I hope to you all, and again, you've seen so many young people in this room. You've seen young people here on this floor. I think this is a call to young people in this room, and I know some of you probably ask yourself, well, I'm a young person, I live in the U.S., what is my role, what should I do, where do I come in, I have this expertise. Talk to these young people that you've seen and make sure that you commit to contributing to what's happening. And I will also add to remember, as they say, to stay humble despite having all the expertise, and tell that Rwandan story, make it spicy. All right. So with that, I also have the honor of introducing our next session, our next group of brilliant panelists. And like I said earlier, we have so many exciting events in store for you. Like I said, we have so many exciting events for you. And also just a reminder that, you know, we were joined by the First Lady of Rwanda, Jeannette Kagame, who also happens to be a champion of healthcare equity. So it's amazing that she joined this session in particular. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I will now introduce our next speaker. The first speaker is going to be someone with many titles. He's the Vice Chairman and the President of Toronto Raptors, and also he's also the Giants of Africa founder, and this is going to be Masai Ujiri. Welcome to the floor, sir.
A leader both on and off the court, Masai Ujiri has made an enduring impact in sports, philanthropy, and business. His dedication extends to a passion for global human rights and international politics, showcasing his cross-sector commitment to making a difference. Growing up in Zaria, northern Nigeria, Masai's journey started on humble basketball courts. These modest beginnings laid the groundwork for a story of resilience and ambition that transcends boundaries, from local playgrounds to iconic global arenas. Masai knew the court is where champions are made and where tomorrow's leaders learn to dream big. Transitioning from his playing days, Masai's unwavering vision for African excellence led him to establish Giants of Africa in 2003. Beyond basketball, this initiative has empowered youth, championed women's rights, and fostered inspiration for generations, highlighting the transformative power of sports. His exceptional talent for identifying promising players and assembling formidable teams propelled him from his early days as an unpaid scout for the Orlando Magic to his groundbreaking role as the first African-born general manager of a prominent Western sports franchise with the Denver Nuggets, culminating in receiving the prestigious Executive of the Year award in 2013. Shortly after, Masai Ujiri became the new president and general manager of the Toronto Raptors. The next 10 years would become the most successful tenure in franchise history, with the second most wins in the NBA. Moreover, the launch of the We the North campaign served as a unifying rallying cry, uniting a nation under a common purpose. His collaborations with Toronto rapper Drake to revitalize courts in marginalized communities, his partnership with Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau to offer solace to the students affected by the 2016 La Loche, Saskatchewan tragedy, and his outspoken advocacy for social justice issues, all exemplify his commitment to advancing humanity's greater ideals. A dream deferred no longer. In 2019, the Toronto Raptors became NBA champions.
But we wanted to win in Toronto, and we won in Toronto! Yeah!
For For Masai, this is only the beginning, an inspiring story of a vision that transcends trophies. Through Giants of Africa, Masai made a commitment to build 100 courts across the continent, partnering with influential figures such as President Barack Obama. In the summer of 2023, the organization commemorated its 20-year anniversary with the Giants of Africa Festival, the largest African youth sports event dedicated to education and empowerment, uniting thousands from all corners of Africa. And Masai has recently established the Zaria Group, a Pan-African investment and development enterprise aimed at catalyzing Africa's sports, entertainment, and cultural economy. This platform seeks to become an architect of a modern African renaissance through building arenas and the ecosystems around them. Masai's story is a call to action. Win, give generously, lead authentically, and seek excellence in all arenas. Inspiring the next generation of leaders on and off the court.
Wow, I can say this. I'm home. I'm home. Her Excellency, I'm just going to say all protocols observed. Wow. I'm overwhelmed because Africa is moving, and you know, the topics that have been spoken about here have been really incredible. But I'm so proud that we have people that are moving us in the right direction on the continent. The only thing I'll say, I think he used the word shameless. I'm going to be shameless here a little bit too, and say, I'm coming to speak for sports and entertainment. And when we speak about sports and entertainment, the energy in the room changes. There's something about sports, entertainment, that brings us together. It brings peace, makes us smile, makes us happy, makes us compete, makes us joyous. If I said today, Rwanda is playing against Ivory Coast in AFCON, and they're showing it in the next room, none of you will be listening to me right now. That's the power of sports. Yes. And I'm so proud that we have a president, we have a presidential family that sees the importance of sports. Because in Africa, we treat sports as leisure, and we haven't yet seen sports as a business. We still treat it as leisure and competition is great. Competition is what we want. But the opportunity that God has given me as a son of Africa to play basketball as a youth and to come to school in the States and to be in the position that I am, I see it and I know what investments are made in sports and entertainment. So, I'm going to tell you a story. In 2016, I invited the first family to the All-Star game in Toronto. It was unbelievable. Everybody, this incredible arena we have where I work, Kobe Bryant, Drake, everybody, Steph Curry, anybody that you can think of was there. One of the best dunk contests that's ever been held. Okay? It was one of the coldest days in Toronto ever. And so His Excellency came, he sat down, and he was consuming, he was watching, and he put his head down. And we were inside the suite. And my wife, and Ange Kagame, came to me and she said, go check on His Excellency. And I thought maybe because of the cold he was sick or something. And I went to him and I said, Excellency, is everything okay? And he said, yes. And he put his head down. I talk like him, huh? Yeah. That's my boy. That's my guy. That's my guy. And he says, yes. Masai, can you tell me how much it costs to build an arena like this? Yeah! That arena is the arena you saw in the video, correct? Visionary. Yeah, visionary. Visionary, I say it again. Yes. He didn't only think of that arena. He thought about the stadium. He thought about the ecosystem around it. Okay? Sports business, sports medicine, restaurants, anything you can think of, hotels. All those things are that ecosystem. Yes, I see my arena. When everybody comes, they watch a game, they want to eat, they want to buy merchandise, they want to eat hot dogs, they want to drink a beer, they want to go out after, they want to see other games in a sports bar, right? It's that ecosystem. It's something we haven't understood in Africa. You know why? It is the biggest challenge for us because we have the best athletes in the world. Yes. We have the best entertainers in the world. Okay? So listen to this. Listen to this. Davido. Thames. Tiwa Savage. Burna Boy. You can name, you can continue going. Diamond. You keep going and you keep going and you keep going. Okay? No arena in Nigeria. No arena in Accra. No arena in Nairobi. No arena in Johannesburg. No arena in Abidjan. How is it possible? I want Bruce Melody to be able to go. Yeah, I see you, brother. I see you. I see you. I want Bruce Melody to be able to go to Uganda and play in an arena, go to Tanzania, play in an arena, go to Nairobi, play in an arena, and we have these tours around Africa, and me and you and everybody will have jobs. People will have work. It will create a movement. It will create an economy for us. It will create resources for us in an incredible way that I've seen. Here, think about it. Think about the NBA. Think about the NFL. Think about college basketball. Think about the revenue. Every day, games, money, people watching, sponsors, naming rights. You can think of all of it. We have it in Africa. You know what Africa's biggest jewel is? Africa's biggest jewel is its people. Yes, it's people. Yes, because I go to Arsenal, how many Africans? I go to Chelsea, how many Africans? We go to Liverpool soccer team. We go to Barcelona. We go to PSG. All of them, everywhere, it's Africans. Them, who won the previous World Cup?